And then it's like, what do you do with all of this UFO information? We have one president that knew about it, died. And you have all these people in power. Like, what they called presidents was like a revolving employee or something like that. Like, you get a
Mm-hmm.
4 year term, that's it. But then you have like CIA intelligence officials, you have like weapons defense people, the energy people. You have all these people in power who are like, we want to keep this a secret, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that level of like decompartmentalization, nobody knows what's going on, like secrets are being held, that's how people can make a lot of money. Like, you know what I mean? It's like if you see a hole in the system, you're like, I can exploit this hole through contracts, through like reverse engineering. Like, it's up to you, like how you want to do it. And this is why Jake Barber was like, it's not one person, it's just a bunch of broken things that people are individually taking advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
Right. Okay. So from there, where are we now? Why is this all coming out, and why are certain things being said the way that they are? Because during that time till now, it's been 80 years, and he's been running operations, Jake Barber, like crash retrieval operations for UFOs for 20, I think it's 20 or 30 years, 20 or 30 years, something like that. And he's like, the people that were in power at the time have retired, and these new people have come in, and they're like, what do I do with this information, bro? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why all of them don't even know. Like, when you're like, Congress, like, why don't you know Congress? It's because like not everyone knew, and they didn't pass along the information. Only certain people heard from their bosses, because they're like, oh, I retired. And then if your boss chooses to tell you the secret or not, that's why they're all having these congressional hearings. They're like, what do you know? What do you know? How come you can't say that? Why don't you know? And then he's like, my higher up said this, because it's like, we actually don't even know what's going on. Like, internally, nobody knows what's going on. And that's why they want to out it now. Because like, if we all out it, we can figure out a solution, because the American people's trust in the government is an all-time low.
Yeah.
And the only thing that destroys governments is lack of trust in the government.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why all these military people are obsessed with getting the truth out there, because they're like, let's just fix the problem. There is no bad boogeyman at the top. It's just like, dude, nobody knows what's going on. Let's all get on the same page, and we'll figure out what to do from there.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, that's good.
Doesn't that make, right? I agree. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, of course. That's like, that is the solution, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like but up until this point, before Jake Barber coming out, was like, who's the evil mastermind? Who's making all the money? Lockheed Martin's. It's like, it's really not Lockheed Martin's CEO. It's like probably a middle manager who kind of doesn't even know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, my boss just retired and I had this project. I'm like, what do we do with this project, bro? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Or like, hey, I'm retiring. You're gonna take on this whole project. And like, oh my God, UFOs are real. Okay, you're sworn to secrecy though, because like, we'll kill you if they're like, oh my God, they're gonna kill me. It's like, it's just like confusion. It's just people running around confused.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
Yeah,
think that makes more sense.
that makes total sense. And you're just like, okay, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. UFOs are real. What do you guys know? What do we know? And that's what the congressional hearings are about. And a lot of people, which is crazy to me, is they're trying to suss out who the people are that know. It's basically traitors, bro. They're trying to figure out who the traitor is. No, no, but
Right.
for real
Yeah.
though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
don't you know? Because there are certain people that have blocked congressional hearing. So like, there's a guy, I forgot what his name was, but um, they were supposed to pass a law, and then it wasn't passed by this one guy. And they're like, why'd that one guy say no? And
Hmm.
then you look, his state is in charge of a huge military like funding thing. And you're like, is he read in? And he
Which
knows that
state?
like,
Do you know the state?
I don't remember. I would have to look at it after. But they like, he was the only person that was like, no, no, I don't want to go ahead with this thing. And they're like, what? Why? And then Jeremy Corbell's like, oh, if you look at who's funding him, it's all these military people. And you're like, okay, so he's the traitor, bro.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily like funding. It could be just like jobs and stuff. So like if
Exactly.
like Alabama has the Lockheed Martin office, like when the whole Ming Lee thing, the one that I was the video that I sent you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these places around in Alabama, I think, Lockheed Martin, Boeing.
Well, I think maybe that is the state that was the guy. Because if your state's making a lot of money off the military stuff, it's like, bro, I need to protect that. Like my state's gonna die, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that are like tied into the economics of that. So that is that's basically what's going on and what we're all trying to find out. And with the documentary that's coming out, and I really feel like this is the next step, which is how do we tap into the 0 point energy? Because we know you guys have it. Like
Hmm.
we see the crafts. And like when I get into the Skywatcher thing, that one's crazy. I'm just like, bro, I don't know what to make of this one, but okay, we'll get into Skywatcher right after. Oh, we're running out of time. All right, I'll make this a little quicker. So so yeah, so like that's what's going on. Um, the Skywatcher thing, I'll disregard that other thing. We'll just jump straight into Skywatcher. So Jake Barber, him being a knock was really fascinating. I love that Jesse Michaels did a whole interview on him, and not only because Jesse Michaels like super rich. There's a lot of rich people involved in this UAP disclosure thing. They just
Hmm.
want the truth to get out. So Jesse Michaels made a lot of money. Peter Thiel, you know that guy?
I heard the name.
Okay, he's like a really rich venture capitalist. I don't know. He's like PayPal or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I
PayPal.
forgot. Yeah, I know the name. Yeah.
So Jesse Michaels started invest. He worked at Google, and then in on his offside, he was doing investments for Peter Thiel, like just as like fun. Like
Hmm.
I have like contracts on the sides like that. And then at Google, he was also putting on all of these speaker events. So that's how he got good at speaking and interviewing. And then like with his investing money for Peter Thiel, he also invested in money. He invests money for Peter Thiel and he invests money for himself. So he's loaded. He's like good to go. And he's like I don't have to do anything like for the rest of his life. He's like I could just like surf all day. But he's like I'm just so passionate about this UFO thing. That's why like he'll like hire teams of videographers. They'll go out, film the thing, and like drop the episode. That's why I'm like, dude, this guy's so sick. And he's so well connected because he's super rich, right? And he's a chill guy. He's like a surfer. It's really interesting. So that guy interviewed Jake Barber. He put a highlight on his Instagram. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait for this. Like 2 days later, it came out. He probably was just like, hey guys, work around the clock. We need this. Like, here's the money. Just go, you know what I mean? So I love
Hmm.
that there's all these rich people working on it. So Jake Barber, in that he in passing said that because like, well, what do you do? What's your like official cover or not? Like his not cover. Like, what do people think you do? He's like, I'm an airplane mechanic. I'm the program director for Gracie Jiu Jitsu NorCal, and I was like, oh my god. So like, I went to his like Gracie Jiu Jitsu NorCal, and I followed them, and then I was like scrolling through the videos, and I saw him, and like he's like, hey, he's a normal dude, bro.
Hmm.
Imagine you're a normal dude, and then all of a sudden you find out like, oh, you've been running operations in Kuwait on your weekends.
Right.
Like and that's why they're like, all the people in the thing, they're like, this is actually worse for Jake Barber to come forward, but he's doing it because he believes in it.
Hmm.
Because like if you look into it, dude, I even followed his like, but he didn't accept the request. He has his own like Gracie Jiu Jitsu Instagram where he's like the head instructor. He's like GST instructor. And I was like, oh my God, follow. But like you have this whole persona built up, and now you're coming forward and being like, oh, I'm a spy, guys. And what like imagine if I told you that, you'd be like, oh, how can I trust anything you say, bro?
Hmm. Right.
You know what I mean? So like that is why it's not good that he's coming forward, but he's doing it because he believes in it.
Hmm.
And the NHI is guiding him, whatever he says. So what is Skywatcher? So you have you heard of the SALT conference?
Uh, I don't. Not sure. I won't say
I'm
hundred
sure if
percent.
you saw like a picture of it, you'd be like, oh, that thing.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
So
Hmm.
so like Elon Musk was there and like the heads of like Saudi Arabia were there, like have been interviewed.
Hmm.
So that interviewer, the guy who put on SALT conference, had UFO people on there, like Gary Nolan and like this other guy who I think he was like something in Arrow, but like they're like high up government people. And then in the interview, he's like, are NHI real? And they're like 100%. And then like, are they interacting with the humanity? 100%. So that host, whoever put on Salt, he's like, okay, here's the money, prove it to me.
Hmm.
Bro, how sick is that? And then Jake Barber is also a multimillionaire because he has his other ventures. right? And he has other millionaires that are also backing this. So what they said is, let's pool our money because we're putting our money together. Nobody can touch it. There's no outside whatever. If we believe in this, let's put our money where our mouth is and let's create Skywatcher. What is Skywatcher? They are, because Jake Barber's been working for 30 years or 20, 30 years on the inside of how to down these crafts, he hired all the people that have been working on these things in the
Mm-hmm.
black world. And he's like, let's just recreate it for the public, and they just dropped episode one. They already did their first analysis, and Gary Nolan was there. He's like, so Gary Nolan is like a Nobel Prize virologist person. Like he's very,
Mm-hmm.
very up there. He's the guy who like attacked Neil deGrasse Tyson because Neil's like, oh, there's no such thing. These are just like bugs on the sensors, whatever, whatever. So they used him for scientific rigor. Okay. So Gary Nolan's job is to scientifically like make this, like under peer reviewed, like so it can be peer reviewed. So they did their first session, and I watched the thing. Gary Nolan's like, I didn't see anything personally, but when you look at the protocols and all that stuff, we got stuff on data, and like we got data on it, and the thing about this is now that you have a correlation, and if you have a correlation, we can keep testing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that we figured it out, but we noticed something in the sky as soon as you did your CE5 protocol. And we recorded it. So now we're like, how many times can we keep repeating this until we have enough scientific data that's like, here's the scientific evidence that's real?
Right.
Because what Gary Nolan said is, you can't trust video. We live in an AI generated world, so we need to put this through the scientific process.
Mm-hmm.
And all these millionaires are like, okay, here's the money. Like, let's see it. And and that's where they're at now. And if they just continue down this path, like their big goal, and that's what Jake said. He's like, he doesn't want to put a timeline because it's a little tough because you have to like, coordinate everything. But he's like, within like 6 months of the year, we're gonna do a giant public demonstration of this.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that's crazy.
Yeah.
2025. And what this is all linked to is, this is why I'm like, dude, if you listen to The Weeknd, like his music, it's like we're on that path of like, dude, we're heading towards the future. And then all of a sudden there was this like gap. And then that was because that was the psyop, bro. People were like, oh, aliens aren't real, blah, blah, blah. And then now we're back on that track where it's like, okay, what can we do, guys? Because how do you call these crafts? You can psychically you can psychically pilot and call these vehicles, and that's what they're doing, bro. They have these green beret. Like I thought the psychic was gonna come out in like one of the psychics. I thought he was gonna be like Malas and like look like a Indian
Mm-hmm.
hippie, but he's a tattooed green beret. Like he has a gun tattoo on his face, and he just meditates for them and he calls the crowds. You're just like, what are we doing, bro? This is insane. So psychics are real. Okay, you can move shit with your mind. Okay, you can pilot crafts. Like, what is going on, bro?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Jake Barber's like, it's an exciting time because now we're just like, what is real?